Tund first heard the whispers on the night of the new moon. He was lying in bed, the ceiling fan clicking above him, stirring humid air that smelled of kerosene and dust. Outside, the streets of Ibadan had long since fallen silent. No danfo horns. No okadas rumbling by. Just the occasional croak of frogs from the gutter and the rustling of mango leaves in the backyard. Then it came. A sound, barely audible at first. A soft hum, like a lullaby sung underwater, rising from beneath the wooden floorboards of Mama Sada's room across the corridor. At first, he thought it was the old woman snoring again, but the melody was too deliberate, too ancient. The syllables curled around his ears like smoke. Yoruba, but not the kind they spoke in church. Older. Veta. Tund sat up in bed, heart thudding. He crept out of his room, careful not to step on the creaky tile near the doorway. The hallway was dark, save for the dim yellow glow spilling out from under his grandmother's door. He leaned closer. A hush of voices. Not just one, many. Murmuring in call and response. Rhythmic. Hypnotic. He caught a glimpse of candlelight dancing in strange patterns on the walls. Then, silence. The door clicked shut. Lights out. The house held its breath. The next morning, Mama Saad was in the backyard pounding yam like nothing had happened. Tund stared at her from the kitchen, his eyes narrowed. She was wearing her faded red wrapper, the one with worn edges and mystical symbols embroidered into the seams, the wrapper she only wore for funerals or when invoking ancestors. "Mama," he began cautiously, "were you praying last night?" She didn't look up. "Prayer is never wrong, boy." "But I heard." "You heard wind," she snapped, turning with a smile too quick to be real. "Your ears are still soft. Go fetch water." And just like that, the conversation was over. But that night she did it again. And the night after that too, always on the eve of the new moon. She would vanish from her room, barefoot, carrying a carved wooden box wrapped in red cloth. Tund once caught sight of its contents. A black feather, a cower-studded mirror, and a single rusty key. The whispers grew louder with each month. So did Tund's questions. His curiosity festered like a mosquito bite, small at first, but impossible to ignore. So, on the 7th new moon, he made a decision. He would follow her. No more pretending he didn't hear things. No more questions that led nowhere. Whatever secrets his grandmother was hiding in the shadows, whatever lay beneath the forest behind their compound, he would find it. And he would never be the same again. Tund waited until the house was asleep. Midnight hung heavy over Ibadan like a damp cloth. The moon was gone, swallowed by the darkness. Perfect. He slipped out of bed, already dressed in black joggers and a faded Arsenal jersey, the one with a tear beneath the armpit. Quiet as a lizard, he eased open the back door and stepped onto the cracked veranda. Mama Saad was already moving. She glided barefoot across the backyard, the wooden box pressed tight against her chest, her wrapper swaying like it had a mind of its own. No flashlight. No walking stick. Just a trail of whispered chants that seemed to melt into the soil. Tund followed, staying low behind the guava tree, then darting behind the rusted drum used for rainwater. He kept his breathing shallow, his heart punching at his ribs. She didn't look back, not even once. They passed the last boundary wall, the one lined with crumbling cement statues. Beyond it lay a forgotten trail swallowed by thick bush. Tund had never dared go past it alone. Not even during the day. But tonight, the path seemed different, open, as if it had been waiting for them. The further they went, the stranger the forest became. The trees were taller here, twisted in shapes that didn't make sense. Their bark pulsed faintly, like they were breathing. The air thickened, perfumed with the smell of roasted cola, wet clay, and old blood. Crickets fell silent. Even the wind held its breath. Tund wanted to call out, to ask where they were going, but something in his chest told him not to speak. Not here. They arrived at a clearing wrapped in fog. In the center stood a massive tree, unlike anything Tund had ever seen. Its bark shimmered like obsidian. Its branches curled upward into the sky, dripping with blue fireflies that pulsed in sync with an invisible heartbeat. At its roots, a crack in the earth, shaped like an eye. Mama Sod knelt beside the eye-shaped fissure, placing the box gently on the ground. She whispered something into it. A breeze stirred the clearing, though the leaves didn't move. Then, a ripple. The air shimmered, like hot oil in a pan. Light bent. Shapes emerged. The market appeared. Stalls rose from the ground like bones breaking through skin. Lanterns flickered to life, hanging from ropes woven with teeth and cowries. The sounds of drums, distant, arrhythmic, unnatural, began to thump in the air. And just like that, the clearing was gone. Tunde stumbled back, eyes wide. What he saw was not a market for humans. It was a place between. A place that had waited long before his birth and would wait long after his bones were dust. He wanted to run. He really did. But something behind the glowing tree, was already watching him. Tunde stepped forward without realizing it, drawn as if pulled by a string buried in his chest. The market pulsed with life, but it wasn't normal life. No electricity. No plastic tarps or shouting sellers. Instead, there were stalls made of bone, bark, and ash. Tents stitched from animal skins fluttered without wind. Smoke curled in slow spirals, whispering in languages that made his ears ache. The path beneath his feet glowed faintly with symbols that shifted every time he blinked. He tried not to look at them too long. The people, if you could call them that, were worse. A woman with no face bartered a singing gourd with a man whose mouth opened vertically down his throat. A hunched creature with 6 arms stirred a pot that smelled like forgotten memories. Children with glowing eyes danced around a merchant who floated 2 inches above the ground, humming in reverse. Tunde's breath caught. His legs wanted to run, but his heart, his foolish, curious heart, was rooted in awe. "Do not stare," Mama Sod hissed beside him, her voice suddenly sharp and cold. "They don't like being remembered." He turned quickly, startled that she was still by his side. Her face was different here. Sharper. Older. The lines on her skin glowed faintly with silver light. Around her neck was a chain of dried Egbera hair, something she would never wear in the ordinary world. "What is this place?" Tunde asked. She gave him a long, unreadable look. "Agberoja. The market of power. It appears when the veil is thinnest. Once every new moon. Not everyone can find it. Fewer still are allowed to enter." "And we're allowed?" She glanced at the mark on his forehead, a faint glow he hadn't noticed until now. Her silence was enough answer. They walked deeper. A stall displayed bottled laughter, giggles trapped in clay jars, each sealed with melted wax. Another sold shadows that didn't belong to anyone. A man offered golden teeth that could whisper your enemy's secrets. Prices weren't marked in naira, or any currency Tunde understood. Sometimes the merchant would simply say, "Your name," or "the sound of your heartbeat," or once, "the memory of your first lie." Tunde kept his hands to himself. But not everyone did. A young girl, human-looking maybe, picked up a coin from the wrong stall. The merchant, a being made entirely of feathers and ash, clicked its fingers. The girl blinked out of existence. Just like that, Tunde froze. "Mama. Don't speak unless spoken to. Don't touch what isn't yours. And no matter what happens, do not accept a deal." Her tone left no room for argument. Tunde nodded, clutching the edges of his shirt. Still, even as fear crawled beneath his skin, something deeper stirred in him. Wonder. Because in that moment, standing under the glowing sky of a market that shouldn't exist, he knew. He had crossed into a world that had been waiting for him all along. They reached the heart of the market, a circular courtyard paved with black glass. In the center stood a shrine built of antlers and charred stone, surrounded by a spiral of glowing white chalk. The air here felt heavier, more alert. Tunde could feel it watching him. From somewhere deep in the crowd, a low bell tolled, one single note, deep and ancient. Around them, the market shifted. Some stalls folded into themselves. Others blossomed like flowers blooming in reverse. Mama Sod pulled him close. "Stay in the outer ring. I must speak to the mask seller. Don't move. Don't speak to anyone." But she was already gone, melting into the crowd like smoke. Tunde stood alone, surrounded by the strange music of an unseen flute and the heavy scent of camphor and palm oil. The market moved like a dream, or a memory trying to forget itself. Traders haggled in silence. Eyes glowed in shadow. Names hung in the air like perfume. Then he saw her. A girl around his age, maybe 15, standing beside a cart made of twisted iron and spiderwebs. Her hair was silver. Her eyes were black. She wore a necklace of snail shells that clinked softly when she moved. She stared at him like she'd been expecting him. "You're lost," she said, voice soft as rain. Tunde hesitated. "No. I'm just waiting." "No one comes to the market by accident," she said. "Especially not one marked by the old tree." He blinked. "You mean the tree by the clearing?" She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "That tree doesn't mark people. It chooses them." Before he could ask what that meant, a figure stepped between them, tall, wrapped in blue and black cloth, with dozens of carved masks hanging from its neck, shoulders, even its arms. The mask seller. Each mask had a different expression: joy, sorrow, rage, hunger, and each blinked independently, like living faces trapped in wood. "You should not be speaking to her," the mask seller said, voice deep as thunder. "Nor should you be here alone." "I'm not." "You are," the figure said. "Your guide is gone. And the market smells your uncertainty." Tunde took a step back, suddenly cold. The mask seller leaned closer. The mask on his chest opened its wooden eyes. "They will offer you many things before dawn. Power, truth, even your heart's desire. But every price here is heavier than it looks." "I didn't come to buy anything," Tunde whispered. "But something may come to buy you." Then, just like that, the mask seller turned and disappeared into the crowd. Tunde stood frozen, his mouth dry, heart hammering. He searched the glowing pathways for his grandmother, for the girl, for anything normal, but the faces around him blurred, changed, folded. And then, behind him, a voice whispered, "Do you want to know the truth about who you are?" Turned. There was no one there. Only a shadow that smelled like smoke, and something old waking beneath the market stones. Tunde's mouth was dry. The whisper still echoed in his ears, not like sound, but like a memory pressed against his skull. He turned in a slow circle, scanning the crowd. The girl with the silver hair was gone. So was the mask seller. The market seemed closer now. Stalls leaned in. Lanterns flickered lower. Eyes blinked from the shadows. Even the ground beneath his feet seemed to pulse in time with a heartbeat that wasn't his. He took a step back and bumped into someone. "Careful," said a man cloaked in green silk, his face hidden behind a mirror mask. He held a tray filled with polished stones, each glowing faintly. "Don't lose your footing. That's how the forgotten find you." Tunde nodded awkwardly and tried to move past. "Wait," the man said, voice like gravel under glass. "You carry a name that doesn't belong to you." Tunde froze. "What did you say?" The man tilted his head. "Names are dangerous things here, especially when they're borrowed." "I didn't borrow." "Oh, but you did." His mask shifted slightly, reflecting Tunde's face, only older, twisted, tired. "That name on your tongue? That's not the name the tree knows you by." Tunde's stomach twisted. What is my real name then?" The merchant chuckled. "You'll have to trade for that. Perhaps a tooth? A future memory? Or maybe just a promise you'll forget how to leave." Tunde backed away, stumbling. "No, thanks." "Pity." The man's tray snapped shut like a jaw. Tunde ran, or tried to, but the market didn't stay still. The paths twisted. Stalls rearranged. The same lantern appeared 3 times in different directions. Something was watching. Laughing. Then, from the mist, a hand pulled him behind a stack of folded shadows. It was the girl again. Her black eyes gleamed. "You asked the wrong question." "I didn't ask anything." "You asked who you are," she said, "and in this place, that's the most dangerous thing to want." She dragged him through the maze of bone stalls and melting tents. Tunde didn't fight her, not when every breath in this place felt like it cost something. "Why are you helping me?" he asked. "I'm not," she said. "I'm using you. There's a difference." They ducked under a rope lined with tiny screaming mouths and emerged near a quiet corner of the market, one where the colors didn't shimmer and the ground didn't pulse. A stall stood here, simple and gray, with a cloth sign that read, Uja Iranti, Memory Market. A woman sat behind the table, her skin translucent, her smile tired. Before her were small vials, some clear, some swirling with light, others filled with thick black fog. The girl gestured. This is where you'll find what you're really looking for. Tunde hesitated. I don't understand. You will. She pointed to a jar filled with pale green smoke. That one's yours. How do you know? Because I tried to steal it last month. Tunde stepped forward. The vial pulsed faintly. He felt something shift in his chest, like a door creaking open. What's in it? The woman behind the stall spoke at last. The night you were born. The name your parents whispered before they vanished. The reason your grandmother has been hiding you. Tunde's hands trembled. Can I have it? The woman raised a brow. Of course. But it costs. Money. She smiled. No one trades naira in the memory market. The cost is always the same. What is it? Another memory. Tunde's breath caught. Which one? You choose, she said. A face. A song. A person you love. Choose wisely, child, because once it's gone, you won't even remember you traded it. The girl beside him whispered, Don't do it. But Tunde was already reaching for the vial, the truth glowing inside it like the ember of a forgotten fire. Tunde's fingers closed around the glowing vial. A warmth spread up his arm, like light seeping into his bones. The memory pulsed, a heartbeat from a forgotten self. What will you give? The memory merchant asked. He hesitated. Flashes of faces danced in his mind. Mama Sada's smile, the rustling leaves in their compound, his favorite lullaby. He settled on one, the memory of his father's laugh, already faint, already slipping. I'll give that, he said softly. The merchant nodded. She reached into his chest, not physically but still, he felt it, and plucked the memory from his mind. He gasped. And then, just like that, he didn't remember what he gave. The moment the trade was made, the vial broke open in his hand. Images poured into his mind. A crying infant left at the foot of the irako tree. A woman screaming in the market as masked figures dragged her husband away. A baby branded with the mark of the tree, a protection, but also a curse. The voice of the irako whispered, This one will remember what the world forgets. Tunde staggered. The truth was dizzying. He wasn't just visiting the market. He was born of it. The irako tree hadn't marked him, it had claimed him. Mama Sad hadn't just protected him, she had hidden him from the market's call. And now, by stepping into the midnight market, he had awakened the bond. You shouldn't have taken it, the silver-haired girl muttered. Now they'll follow you forever. Who are you? Tunde asked. She looked away. Someone who lost her real name a long time ago. Suddenly, the ground beneath them trembled. A deep gong rang out. The market shifted. Voices rose in panic. Doors sealed. Lights turned red. They know, she said. You've triggered the closing. What does that mean? It means you're no longer a guest here. You're a piece of it. The sky above the market split, not with lightning, but with something older. Something hungry. A being descended, tall, skeletal, wearing a robe of smoke and stars. Its eyes were hollow tunnels, and its mouth stretched across its chest. The keeper, the girl whispered, yanking Tunde into the shadows. It guards the balance. You broke it. Tunde's heart raced. I just took my memory. You were never supposed to remember. From all corners, masked figures gathered. Traders, spirits, watchers, all moving toward him like wolves circling prey. The mask seller reappeared, flanked by silent children in bone masks. You carry truth not meant to return to the world, he said. You are the market's debt. Tunde stepped back, breath shallow. There has to be a way out. There is, the mask seller said, lifting one of his blinking wooden faces. But it comes with its own cost. A circle of salt was drawn. Tunde stood within it, face pale, as the market gathered to witness. The mask seller raised a hand. You may leave, child of the tree, but only if you leave a part of yourself behind. What part? The mask seller turned one of the masks toward him, the one that looked just like Tunde. Your shadow. Your reflection. Your sense of time. Choose. Tunde's lips trembled. If I leave my shadow? You will be unseen. Forgotten. The world will never fully notice you. My reflection? You'll never know who you are. You'll be a stranger to yourself. My sense of time? You will live outside of it. Days will blur. Nothing will last. He closed his eyes, then pointed. My reflection, he said. If I have to lose anything, let it be that. I'd rather be known than feel nothing. The mask seller nodded. The mask turned backward. His image in it vanished. And with that, the salt circle opened. Tunde blinked, and the market was gone. He stood alone beneath the iroko tree. The sky above was pale blue. His shirt was torn. His palms glowed faintly. But the silence was familiar. Mama Saad stood nearby, leaning on her walking stick. Her eyes were wet with relief and sorrow. You came back, she whispered. I don't think I ever really left. She nodded. And what did you leave behind? Tunde touched his face, looked into a pool of rainwater. No reflection stared back. I gave away the part that would make me doubt myself again. She took his hand. You are no longer a boy. Weeks passed. Tunde saw things now, cracks in the world where spirits whispered. People forgot him in conversations. Mirrors ignored him. But he remembered everything. He knew the market would come again. Next month. And he'd feel the pull. But now he was something else. Not just a visitor. Not just a child. A keeper of secrets. A child of the Iroko. He began to write it all down, names, shapes, bargains, so no one else would be caught unaware. And every new moon he waited. Because one day, the midnight market would return. And this time he would be ready. If this story inspired you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful African stories that teach, uplift, and transform. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a tale that could change your life.